Do I start the recording, Alex, on my end?
Nope. I just did.
Okay, great. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about wellness primers in the classroom, and it's in advance of our spring recharge week coming up. But really, I think that there's opportunity to do things like this with our students all the time. I mean, we know our students struggle in many areas of wellness, and paying attention to where they are in their own personal wellness and where they are can help enhance what they're doing in the classroom. It also kind of teaches them some self-care strategies in order to move on with their lives after they leave college to take with them as they go. So these are just, some ideas on activities that you can do in the classroom that are relatively short and compact that we can go with. And I thought maybe to start out, we would try one together. So this is called the 5-4-3-2-1 grounding technique. And the purpose of this is to basically bring yourself into the present. A lot of times when we're sitting in a class or driving our car, or doing whatever, our minds are in a bunch of different places and our attention is split. And so, bringing ourselves into the present and being able to, mindfully interact with each other and with our content in our classes and whatever it is that we're doing is an important type of skill to have. And so this is a very short exercise in order to do that. And I think I would consider playing some relaxing music in the background, perhaps, when I did this in class. But I would also talk with them. And I think with any of these, I would talk with them about why we're doing it, right? So it's not just an activity to do in class that they participate in, but an activity that they learn from, and they can maybe integrate some of the ideas into their daily life. So this activity starts with just a few deep breaths, and we're going to start just a deep breath in and a deep breath out, maybe 5 of these. And I'm not gonna cue it for you. So just take 5 nice deep breaths, a couple, maybe 30 seconds worth. Okay. I'd like you to look at 5 things around you and acknowledge 5 things in your area that you can see. And then find 4 things that you can touch. Three things that you can hear. 2 things that you can smell. 1 thing that you can taste. And that's the end of that grounding exercise. And it's supposed to make you just aware of where you are, reduce anxiety and stress, and bring you present into the moment. I do think some type of just relaxing guitar music or something behind that would probably be nice to add. I actually had some queued up, and I have no idea how to share that sound in Teams. So Alex, I'm going to need a lesson on that at some point. So that's just a very quick example of an activity that you could do at the start of class. And so, I start this conversation with what is wellness. And I know that the folks in the room right now are very well acquainted probably with these aspects of wellness. But I think that oftentimes we attribute just one thing to our wellness, whether it's emotional wellness or mental health or physical wellness or exercise or physical activity. But really, all of these pieces interact with each other for wellness. And so we take a look at wellness from a very holistic perspective. And so when we're thinking about these type of wellness activities in our classrooms, we want to make sure that we're addressing these pieces. And oftentimes these activities will cross off a bunch of these areas at the same time. And so just keeping in mind that wellness is more than just one thing. It's the interaction throughout all of these pieces. And so wellness in the classroom, you can think of these as either kind of one-off activities, like there may be classroom primers. I always think of a primer as a warm-up to class, right? Something that we do at the beginning to get everybody's engaged and everybody involved. And these are kind of one-off activities, or you can consider a week-long focus, as we might consider in Recharge Week, where you might set a few of these or perhaps attribute some extra credit opportunity or whatever it is that you're doing in your class that makes sense for your course. Or just each time you meet, you pick a different one and talk about wellness. And even if you attribute the week, we're going to continue on with our content, but we're also going to focus on your wellness this week. And today we're going to focus on this aspect. And on Thursday, we're going to focus on this aspect. It kind of brings that into focus for the students. And so a couple of different ideas to be able to do this. One of these ideas is called Scribble the Stress Away. And this kind of touches the social part of the wellness wheel and the emotional part of the wellness wheel. And again, this is something I might choose to play some kind of relaxing music behind in the classroom. But you choose a writing prompt. And here's some examples of, certainly you could consider one of your own. But an example that might speak to their resilience or speak to a time when they've been successful, to basically help frame them in a spot where they say, you know what, I can do this because I've done it in the past. A lot of our students experience a lot of stress on a daily basis. They have a lot of things going on. And sometimes it's very difficult for them to reach that moment, right? And so having them reflect on things that they have been successful at or they've been resilient through can help foster that in them. I really like the, when times get tough, I want to remember that, I can do this, or I have help, or, I have resources, whatever it happens to be. So give them maybe 5 minutes to compose this, and then pair them up if you feel like it's appropriate in your classroom to share with each other. And I think this is done best in very small groups. So maybe a group of 2 or 3. Once those groups get larger, people tend not to speak and interact with each other. And again, I think I would continue to play that music around in the background so it kind of camouflages some of the conversations that are going on. And I don't know that I would, again, it probably depends on the group, but I'm not sure that I would have like a sharing with the whole class type of moment, right? I would just give them time to interact with each other. So this is kind of one of those opportunities. Again, it maybe takes 10 minutes at the front end of a class. Walking warm up. So this is going to touch our physical, social, and environmental portions of our wheel. And this is basically pretty easy, right? It's nice outside. I've done this with classes in the past. The first 10 minutes of class, just go for a walk. You can consider giving them something to discuss with each other. You can maybe take one of the writing prompts and have that discussion if you want to pair them up. Again, it depends on who you have. Some of them are very familiar with each other and comfortable in that conversation, and some students are just uncomfortable and will walk silently. And maybe that's okay too, right? And so again, it's going to be very dependent upon your course and your students. And just to keep in the back of your mind, 3 1/4 laps around the quad, if you use all the ramps, is about a mile. So if you were keeping track of how far those distances are, you could tell your students, hey, we're going to go walk a mile. If you've got 20 minutes, it's probably going to take that long to do that, or half a mile for 10 minutes. But there's really a lot of benefits to this, and it goes even beyond this physical, social wellness, but also there's a lot of cognitive benefits to starting content with somebody who has been exercising. It gets their attentiveness up, their motivation is increased. It actually helps them develop neural pathways. There's some really fascinating research about exercise and learning that really does support using this type of warm up in order to engage cognitively with students. So that's a way you can do it. I really like this kindfulness and mindfulness moment idea. And so again, focusing on the breath, very similar to what we just did at the start of this session. Um, and as they do that, they hold positive thoughts of someone that they care about, right? Or even something, a pet or something that they care about, thinking positive thoughts about them. And you could consider having them at the end sending a wishing well text or email to the person that they're holding positive thoughts, or maybe somebody who they think might need encouragement that day, right? And so basically giving them the moment to kind of reflect on kindness and things that they care about, and then doing something about it. Again, it takes very short period of time for them, and they can really come out of that feeling like not only that they are cared about and they care about people, but they're also helping, and it will help, again, it will help support that emotional and social aspect of the wellness wheel. Desk yoga is great. They can do it while they're seating. It really is something that almost any ability group can do. And there's a ton of YouTube videos on this. So it's not something that you have to be a certified yoga instructor in order to lead. I embedded a video in here. We're not going to do this today, although I will tell you, I did this with a virtual ways class once. And I made the mistake of letting them turn their cameras off. I have no idea. I have no idea what they did. I know I did it, but I'm really not sure if they did it or not. But this touches the physical and spiritual end of that wellness wheel. And this one happens to be a 5-minute piece. There's a lot of reasons to do desk yoga. From a physical perspective, we all sit way too much. And we end up with tight hip flexors, we end up with poor posture from our position, and something like desk yoga can help with that tightness and can help us be more functional. At the same time, it does focus on breath, it focuses on breathing, can help bring down anxiety and stress, it lowers blood pressure, helps you be mindful and in the moment. There's a lot of really positive things, and it really can be done anywhere with any ability group. And so again, there's a ton of YouTube videos. If you just Google or YouTube up desk yoga, and you can pick one of any lengths, but this is a good one. This one I did with my ways class to to various success. I'll try it this year in person, and then we'll have them do it. You can also consider curating a playlist and make a playlist available on your Moodle site or your Brightspace site. And I've done this with courses as well, where I've made a playlist, YouTube playlist, and I've shared it on my site for them to just kind of explore through. And that way they can take a look, and there's some things that they can kind of pick out. And that works really nicely for them. All right. Oh, we don't want to watch that. And then thinking about taking a session and just getting out of the classroom. This does involve a little bit more of a commitment than just a 5 to 10 minute kind of primer. But sometimes this is kind of a nice break. I know that we're kind of up against the wall this semester with the amount of days that we have with our students. And, we've had some weather things go on where we're really tight against some of our content. And this might not be possible in a lot of places, but consider taking class outside, reserving one of our outdoor spaces. That space in front of Satterley is a really nice space to teach from. I've done that, I've done that on a nice day, and it's really nice to just have the students out there sitting. They can unmask if they feel comfortable out there, and just getting some fresh air and sunshine and learning about content. You can have them walk over to Lehman Park and skip stones. If you really want to take, a moment and say, okay, we're going to focus on just a stress release type of wellness activity, we can do that. We're just going to go for a walk over to Lehman. The campus owns that spot, and we can skip stones into the stream and then come on back. Or think about having an outdoor scavenger hunt related to your content. There's a lot of different ways to do that. There's a really great app called Goose Chase, which I have used in classes. And you can assign teams. They take pictures of things. They work together. You can oversee that as an instructor. It can happen in real time during class, or it can happen after hours. You get a dashboard. It's a really cool type of app that promotes and supports a scavenger hunt. And so you could relate that to your content and have them walking around doing those types of things. Let's see here, lead a goal setting session. And this kind of touches that intellectual part of the wheel. And so, one of the things that, we talk a lot about in exercise science and community health as well is, how do you improve health behavior, right? Like, we have all these health behaviors we're trying to do a better job at, but it really starts with intentional goal setting. And, I describe this to students as you're putting the location in when you're taking a trip via GPS. If you don't have a detailed location, that trip can be very convoluted, right? And so if you can build a nice goal, help kind of clarify not only what it is they're trying to achieve, but the steps that are going to be needed to take to achieve that, that's a really beneficial thing, because again, that gives you a very clear destination. And then you can map that much easier than just kind of a very a nebulous type of thing, right? And I think, oftentimes in my discipline, someone will come up with a weight loss goal, right? And a weight loss goal might be, I want to lose 20 pounds. And it's a good goal to have, but it really has no detail to it, right? And the detail helps to not only give you that destination, but also build commitment to that. I want to lose 20 pounds by a specific date, and here's how I'm going to do it. And so you can lead a goal setting session and have them set their own health goal, right? You can talk about different health goals. You could give some ideas if they need ideas. This is a great video about setting goals, and it uses a SMART kind of framework. And Lauren, you've probably dealt with this too. The SMART framework basically helps you detail out a goal and gives you kind of guidelines on how to do that. And you can even show them a video. There's a lot of YouTube videos on how to build a SMART goal too. Again, this is a great time to play some focus music in the background, and then you could have them pair up and discuss. And if this is something that you really want to buy into with your class, they could have a partner throughout the entire semester that they talk about progress on their goals and setbacks and things that they could do to support each other. It's kind of a really nice thing to start out with, and then you can continue through the semester. And that's going to play it. Hydration is a really big thing for people, and it's a very big thing for college students. You could talk, lead a discussion on hydration in class. There's a lot of great resources to why hydration is important. This YouTube video is a really good one. It basically takes the opposite perspective, right? What would happen if you didn't drink water? And you can talk about, how it supports, all of your body functions, how it will, again, help support their cognitive functions, helps them to feel better, all these different things, right? You could consider setting up a challenge, maybe a learning journal assignment, something like that, where they set a goal to drink, 8-ounce glasses of water or whatever's appropriate for them during the day. And then they talk about, what was the best way of doing that. And there's a lot of different strategies that you can help increase water consumption, right? You could have them do a group Google search where they each group comes up with 1 or 2 strategies to increase water consumption and share it with the group. There's a lot of different ways that you could do that. There's also a Rethink Your Drink emphasis, and this link goes to a CDC site. And basically what it talks about is, how do we replace some of these unhealthy drinks with healthier choices? A lot of our students don't really understand that some of the large coffee-based beverages with a lot of cream and sugar and things like that in it have a lot of calories in them, right? And they have a lot of fat in them, and they're really not very good for you, right? So what do you do with that? How do you rethink that drink and make it into something a little bit more healthy that still meets the goals of what it is they're trying to achieve with that? So that's a really nice strategy. Again, that's something they could do in small groups, is come up with strategies and then share with the class. There's a lot of different ways to do that. And then my final slide here is a bunch of different wellness resources that you could not only use for yourself, but also provide to your students, perhaps in your Moodle or Brightspace shell. And so the Get Involved link, and most students have seen this, and I'm not sure how many faculty have really looked at it, but it basically outlines all of the activities that are going on campus, right? And it gives you links to all of those different things, and you can register. And there's a whole host of activities for Recharge Week, from yoga in the greenhouse to fitness center activities to building crafts. There's all sorts of things on there that students can explore. St. Lawrence County Trail Map site is an amazing site to visit. It has all of the trails in St. Lawrence County, and then it talks about those trails as to what the terrain is like, what type of shoes you need, the length. There's a lot of different things within those. There's a 5-minute sleep meditation link there. If you go to YouTube, you'll find a lot of sleep meditation. Sleep is a big issue with our students as well as college students across the country. And, you know, anything that we can do to promote good sleep habits with our students or with ourselves is a healthy choice. Student guided nutrition is listed there. Progressive muscular relaxation is a method to basically activate and relax muscles in a systematic way to help bring down anxiety and to relax. And then the American Council on Exercise activity breaks is a link that includes lots of small activities you could do in the classroom to up physical activity. And the ACE Exercise Library is a really great site that basically provides instruction on hundreds of exercises by muscle group, by the type of equipment you have, and by ability level. So you could say, I'm a beginner, I have no equipment, and I want to do some stretching. And you would put all those search patterns in there and you'd get a whole host of exercises that you can do. It's a really great website. So those are some resources. And, you know, I'm not sure, you know, Lauren, do you have questions or have you come up with some things that you've done in classes that have been beneficial and worked really well?
I don't have any specific questions, but I really love all of these ideas, and I've done some similar things and others I have never thought of. So yeah, I've done some like breath work and had students do like vent something you're frustrated with in a chat in a virtual class, then vent something you're grateful for, and if the person text them a note of gratitude, and going outside. But some of the other ones are new, and I really like, and I like the idea of teaching students like holistic wellness framework and having different times throughout the semester where you sort of intentionally do work that relates to those different things and talk to them about that so that they can build that into their sort of self-care toolkit, community care toolkit, stuff like that. Yeah, so.
Yeah, I think that toolkit is a good analogy, right? You know, I think that, you know, we're making sure that they are tooled up when, you know, when they leave our campus to go to their next steps, whatever they happen to be. And this is part of that tooling process. You know, whatever occupation that they go into, wherever they find themselves, you know, they're still going to have to manage life stresses, and they're still going to have to manage their own wellness and being able to, you know, give them these little things, these little tricks to be able to do that in a short period of time. I've used that breathing technique in the car on the way to work sometimes, and I know it's going to be a stressful day and I know I need to bring it down. You know, it's just something very, very small that you can do. I think oftentimes we look at the prospect of wellness and healthy behavior, and we think they're these huge choices, right? And they take a lot of time and a lot of knowledge, and they seem like these giant mountains to climb. Within reality, you know, they're just little things that you can do throughout the day, and it doesn't have to be this huge, intimidating type of decision making. And so I think that's all I have for today, unless, you know, anybody else has any questions or thoughts. You know, I think that anything that we can do to support our students along this journey is important. And anything we can learn to help support ourselves is also important too. So, all right. Well, thank you so much for coming, and I hope you guys have a wonderful afternoon. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yep.